Welcome to eFORMz. In our last tutorial, we went over how to import data from a file into eFORMz Composer. We created the very basic format of a shipping label with cells and variables. In this tutorial, we will go over how to edit and alter the appearance of data and information. To begin, we will open the sample file that we created in our last tutorial. The first feature that we will go over is the general structure of how to display data in eFORMz. In the previous video, we briefly touched on this topic. In order to add other variables and additional information and features into eFORMz, follow the general steps of creating a blank page, loading in data, and then adding cells, rows, and variables. All cells should have a paragraph or table in it that contains text value content. We will illustrate this process by adding data into another row on our shipping label, which is visible in the form viewer panel of the screen. In order to do so, right-click on the table icon and select Add Row from the drop-down menu. You may want to make two rows with one blank row in order to create a space between the two lines of data variables. Right-click on the bottom row icon and select Add Cell. Then right-click on the cell icon that was created and hover over Add Document Component. You will see several options. For most purposes, you will want to select Paragraph. Once a document component has been created, right-click on the icon representing it, such as the paragraph icon, and hover over Add Text. There are different ways to add variables. For instance, if you click on Add Text value, you will be able to enter a variable by manually typing in what you want to appear on the label or form. To add in variables that originate from data from an uploaded file, select Variable Value. From the variable list, select the variable that you want to utilize. If the variable appears too close to the line above it, you can add a cell with a paragraph to the row directly above it. If you add another cell with a data variable to the row you already created with a cell, the row will be divided evenly between the two variables. The row will continue to be divided evenly as more cells and variables are added into it, unless the width of the cells is changed so that one variable has more space than the other. Overall, adding and structuring information in eFORMz follows this general format. You will create a table with several rows. Each row will have cells. These cells have paragraphs branching off from them with variable content. For special circumstances, you may choose to input data by adding a table or footer, but for the basic functions of creating documents and labels, you will likely follow this structure. I have now entered several variables that appear in my form. As you can see, this resembles the top of the shipping label. eFORMz is used to create labels by formatting variables and data. eFORMz software is commonly used alongside Director Toolkit to integrate data into a label format. This can be automatically done as customer data is generated. As you can see in the project window, there are several rows. It may be difficult to differentiate them from one another, as we may add more aspects from the document. For this reason, we may want to add a description to each row. To do this, right-click on the row. From the drop-down menu, select to edit. In order to add a row description, select Description. The following window will display. In the empty field, enter what you would like the description of the row to be. The description will appear after the row icon. This can help users better keep track of rows and the information they contain. Now that we have variables that are visible on our form, we will go into formatting variables and changing their appearance. One important feature in eFORMz is the ability to change the width of the cells. This is essential as you might want certain cells to be smaller than others, especially if the variable data should only take up a limited amount of space. On the other hand, variables that are more important should be allocated more space. Additionally, changing the width of cells is one of the central ways of changing the appearance of the label. Changing the width of cells can also be used to change the position of different variables on the form. In this tutorial, we will change the width of the cells in the row that we just created. To do this, right-click on a cell icon. Hover over the Edit option and select General. The following pop-up window will open. At the top of the page, there is a cell width field. From the drop-down menu, change the automatic setting to fixed. Now you can specify what size you would like the cell width of each cell to be. Entering the number 720 will reduce the size of the cell to an inch. Following this, entering 1440 will make the width of the cell 2 inches. If you want a cell to take up significantly more space, try changing the width to a large number like 3000. After having changed the width of the cell, you will notice that other variables in the same row will shift. It may not appear as though the variable with significantly more space is truly larger because it is still on the far left side of the page, close to the other variables. By default, variables are left-centered within cells. In order to change this, right-click on the paragraph icon. Hover over Edit and select General. You should see this window. From the Alignment drop-down menu, select Center. This will alter the alignment and make the variable appear as though it is in the center of the cell. Change the alignment specifications to match your needs. Another important aesthetic feature is being able to change the font of a variable. In order to do this, right-click on the paragraph icon of a cell. Hover over Edit and select Font from the list. The following screen will appear. Uncheck Automatic. You will then be able to edit the font and change other features. You will see the Character Set field. This does not change the font settings for a cell. You will likely just want to leave this on Roman 8. However, you can change between different character sets to represent different data types. In the Roman 8 character setting, you'll be able to choose between a variety of standard character sets similar to font options in Microsoft Word. Using the font field just below Character Set, you can alter the appearance of the font. Another aspect that you may want to change about font is the size of the letters. You can also change this feature in the same window that you changed font in. To recap, right-click on Paragraph, hover over Edit and select Font. In order to change the size of the font, you will change the value of the height field. Changing the height to a large value like 12 will increase the font size. Changing it to a value smaller than 12 will decrease the font size. At a font height of 22, the variables will look like this. Another way that you may be able to change the size of the font is by changing the number in the characters per inch field. If you are using the automatic font courier, you will need to change this number to make the font appear larger or smaller. Entering a larger number such as 15 will make the text appear smaller. This is because there will be more characters allowed within the cell. Entering a smaller number, like 5, will make the text appear larger. You may also want to change the shading or background color of a cell. To do this, right-click on Paragraph. Hover over Edit and select General. The following window will appear. You will see the option for background color. The automatic button will be ticked. Uncheck it. Click on the colored bar to the right of this. Select the background color from the color swatches or by going into the other options. The background color will be changed to the color that you select. This can be used for emphasis or design purposes. Another design feature is being able to add borders to the cells. To do this, right-click on Cell. Hover over Edit and select Borders. By default, the border setting will be set to None. From the drop-down menu, select a border type such as solid or dashed. However, simply selecting one of these options will not make a border appear. In order to see a line around the box, you must also enter a number for thickness. A thickness of 5 will create a thin border around the box. Higher numbers will create a larger line. You may want to change the padding around a cell. Padding creates a space between the border and the element content. This can be useful for formatting data and controlling how it appears on the page. To change the padding, go back to the Edit options by right-clicking on the cell and selecting Padding. The following window will appear. Uncheck Automatic Padding. Enter numbers for top, bottom, left, and right. Entering 5 in all sections will create a small amount of padding around each cell. This is visible as a white space between the border and the colored background of the cell. You can also edit padding under the paragraph setting of a cell. This will virtually have the same effect. This concludes this tutorial on some of the design and formatting features of eFORMz Composer. Feel free to contact Minisoft for additional assistance. Information on Minisoft products and software capabilities can be found on Minisoft's wiki page at www.minisoft.com. There is additional information about troubleshooting challenges at www.minisoft.com/support. Training or additional help may also be available for your organization. Minisoft's phone number is 800-682-0200. Minisoft's email is support@minisoft.com.